And I'm here because I did a program with them earlier today, and I just wrapped that up. Let me show you, if you're not familiar with Rockwell's work, this is an iconic painting he did of himself. But anyway, I'm here because I also have an exhibit of my own work on display here, a retrospective of sorts. And I wanted to just share this with you. I'm here having done a program with them, an educational program for the Massachusetts College of Art. And I thought we'd walk through, let's look at some of Norman Rockwell's work first. Hi, Mark from LA. So if you're not familiar with Rockwell's work, this is an example of his work. It's very realistic, but this is early work. I'm not an expert on Rockwell, but he did a lot of covers for the Saturday Evening Post back in the turn of last century and well into the 50s. And this was one he did in the 50s, let's see, that I think is really interesting. It's called, what's the title of the book? Oh, it's an illustration. So he was an illustrator, not a fine arts painter. He would have told you that easily. He illustrated ideas, and his covers were his own ideas, but it was of a particular time. So this is the New Kids on the Block, and what I find interesting is, you can read a lot into their expressions, but also if you look closely at the painting up here, you see someone looking out, being judgmental of the New Kids on the Block. So Rockwell had a bit of early in his career social commentary, but it was subtle and restrained by certain restrictions within the Saturday Evening Post that he couldn't depict certain things because of the time. He did a series of paintings to illustrate Roosevelt's For Freedom speech. And I want to show you a few other things. Hi, Brett from LA. Boston, no, this museum is in Stockbridge, so we're a couple hours from Boston. But look at the detail of this. It's hard to see on video, I'm sure, but it's very powerful. This is not full color yet. He used black and white there with bits of color. He was great with expressions. He used a lot of humor in his illustrations. But he really was an illustrator of a certain portion of America, mostly white from the early part of the last century. This is where is it? The Gossips. I love this. This is where I feel like I can connect with him. The facial expressions in these people it's almost cartoon-like. But the Norman Rockwell Museum has a lot of other shows. I mean, mine is an example. I'll show you my work in a minute. But he was instructed, from what I understand, to if he was going to paint black people, they had to be in subservient roles. This was in the early part of the last century, up into the 50s. But then I'll show you some of the work he did after he left the Saturday Evening Post. This is Liza Donnelly, a cartoonist for the New Yorker and other places, and I'm at the Norman Rockwell Museum because I did a program with them today, and an educational program, and I have an exhibit here, which I will show you in a minute. I'm just showing you some of Rockwell's work if you're not familiar with it. Very, very, very realistic, but many of his paintings had elements of humor in them. It's like you took a moment in time and depicted a moment that we might not remember. I suppose that's... the museum is closed to the public today, so it's a little dark in here, but I want to show you one painting that he did, where I think the painting is traveling right now, so it's not, the original is not here, but this is called Murder in Mississippi. So after he left the Saturday Evening Post, he did a lot of paintings about civil rights and social justice because he was not restricted anymore by the Saturday Evening Post, and he could express himself more. This is Murder in Mississippi, which is about an illustration for a Southern justice, and it was known as the Freedom Summer murders of James Chaney and Andrew Goodman and Michael Shorner, who went down to do civil rights work and were killed. So he did a number of paintings like that, and there's one I'm looking for right now. Where is it? I don't see it. That you may recognize. I don't see it. Maybe it's in the dark and I just won't be able to show you. Oh, too bad. This one has been ridiculed, I think, online a bit recently because of the cops. But he had his own take on things, and that was the 50s, probably, or 40s. Let's see, when was that done? Yeah, 1958. It's called The Runaway. Brett asks, I wonder if he became so good at capturing human expressions because of the limitations he was under at the Post. Good question. I don't know. But I know that from the beginning, I read his autobiography, and I know from very early on, he was drawing as a young child and was very good early on, and he just wanted to be a part of the illustration community, that he wanted to be a part of that institution. The illustration world was a big deal in the early 1900s, and he wanted to be a part of that, and he became a part very early on. Rich, where's the Ruby Bridges?
It's currently in...
This is a Rich Bradway.
It's from the Rockwell exhibit. So
Isn't there a copy of it here?
Probably in the store.
Oh.
I'll go home. But it's going to be back there on October 17th.
Okay. I thought I saw it hanging, but I guess.
I'll get one.
Oh, thank you. Oh, this one I love is what's it called? Shovelton's Barbershop. Let's just look at the detail. Just a snapshot of time. Peter, I'm glad you enjoy this. Hi, Peter from Seattle. And this one is also really interesting. It's called Girl at a Mirror, and she's obviously just become, a teenager, and she's looking at a picture of a woman in a magazine and judging herself to the woman's face. So it's an interesting commentary. Also, Rich has brought us a copy of the Ruby Bridges painting, which you probably have recognized. When the schools were being integrated, or they were attempting to integrate the schools. It's a huge painting. It's on loan right now. It's traveling with an exhibit. So thanks, Rich. Let's go over here just for a quick second. Then I said I would draw, so I'll probably draw something. And I'll show you my work too. More illustrations. This is Liza Donnelly. I'm at the Norman Rockwell Museum showing you some of Rockwell's work. He was an illustrator. He died in 1978, and he lived here in this area at the time. He was hugely famous when I was a young girl. This is the work of a suffragist, Rose O'Neill, who was I forget when she drew, but it may have been in the early 1900s. Yeah, I think so. In the early 1900s, and she also became very wealthy with something called a Kewpie doll. She did a Kewpie strip, and then this doll was made, and it sold like gangbusters, and she became famous. And her doll became famous. She became a millionaire, which in the early 1900s is a lot of money. It still is, but and she then did her work, used her work to promote women's suffrage. So I think that's really exciting, and I'm honored to be in the gallery next to her. She was an early female illustrator and used her work to promote women's right to vote. So this is my work. I don't know where to start. This is not the beginning of the exhibit over here. So this is stuff from my early childhood. Some early drawings. You can see a lot of this stuff online. Anybody else speaking out there? I learned to draw by tracing the work of James Thurber. And this is some of my work from college. I went and actually was in the Soviet Union in 1976, and I did some drawings about what I saw in Russia. It was called the Soviet Union back then. It was really fascinating. Here's another one. There were Lenin statues everywhere. This is my first cartoon in the New Yorker. I'm not even going to try to explain it. That was thrilling. There's James Thurber, if you don't know his work. That's the guy who influenced me. That's my mother. And then there's, more cartoons of mine, some from the New Yorker and others not. Let's see what you might want to look at. Just some of my feminist cartoons. There's a Me Too one that I did, not for the New Yorker, but for Medium. It's just such an honor to have an exhibit here. But I feel like I can connect to Rockwell in a way because we both were chronicles, and I'm still doing it, chronicles of life as we're living it here and abroad, here and around the world. It's my first political cartoon for the New Yorker. The guy's reading his fortune cookie and it says, "You will find love and happiness and will vote for Fritz Mondale." So that was in 1984 when Walter Mondale was running for president. My work with Cartooning for Peace, which is an international organization that helps to promote dialogue through cartoons globally. Hot dog, soda, world peace, priceless. So I just wanted to show you guys this since I'm here and it's time for my live broadcast. This is one I did. I really kind of like this one because I like the drawing big buildings in New York. As you can see, it was done before 9/11. And the people are having a meal on the rooftop, and she's bringing out the food. She said, "Okay, everybody, let's eat before the food gets dirty." These are drawings I did during Black Lives Matter from my phone during the live broadcast that I do at 5 p.m. every day for Instagram. These are not cartoons as much as just drawings illustrating what I saw going on. Sort of what I do for you guys now, only a little less idea-oriented. Just illustrations of the protests and the police reaction. This is more illustrating all of the signs that I saw on various photographs at that time, a couple months ago, right? And then the Black Lives Matter. I also did them about the coronavirus too. This was the early one I did when it became clear that it was a global virus that we needed to social distance. Brett asked what got me into illustration. I call myself a cartoonist primarily, which is a subtle difference, but because I come up with my own ideas, I do illustrate other people's work, but for the most part, I'm a cartoonist. I just was drawing when I was a kid, and my mother she smiled at the drawings that I was doing. And I wanted to continue doing it. And I was a really shy kid, so I would draw to be alone, and because people would leave me alone, and I could communicate with my drawings. This woman saying to her friend, she was Zen 5 minutes ago. This was in the New Yorker. And these are children's books that I've done. I've done 7 kids' books about dinosaurs for Scholastic. That was fun. And I did one too recently for Holiday House about a little girl and her cat. This is a video of my live drawing that I've done around the world. That's in China when I visited Beijing. Oh, there's me at my studio. So, there you have it. My iPad. Say I'm going to draw, I'll draw. It's a little hard for me to draw a museum because it's a lot of straight lines. I don't like straight lines. Thanks, Starla Paris, for joining. Hope you had a good lunch. This is really rough, but I wanted to draw something for you. I haven't seen the news today at all. I've been doing things here, so I don't know what's in the news. I guess I'll find out. Liza Donnelly here at the Norman Rockwell Museum. I'm just here showing you it's an exhibit of my work, and I'm in the gallery next to some work of Norman Rockwell's. Over here is a bookstore. It's very cool being in a museum when nobody else is here. I like it. So this is my work here. And that's, I think I'll stop there. I don't know how interesting this is. Hi, Pablo from LA. Okay. Thank you for joining me. I will see you tomorrow. Have a safe evening or afternoon wherever you are.